know,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. That comes with age, I guess.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Dustin, and Shelly, and anyone else, if anyone else on here can answer my question. I just had an appointment, but he was 78, so I did a final expense policy, the living promise on him. And this is like, I did an appointment not yesterday, the day before, and I had the same thing happen to me, basically saying like, okay, but if I live until this point, my premiums, I'm out paying like what I'm getting in my death benefit. And I know like that's the chance, you know what I mean, that they're taking, but it's like, I think I need a better talk off or something to it, because it's like, I try to talk about, yeah, that could be a case, to be like honest, but at the same time, it's a whole life policy. So it's building cash value. You have the living benefits if something were to happen. It's not just when you die and things like that. But when they're at an older age like that, for instance, like this gentleman, I quoted him with Mutual of Omaha. So like $15,000 is $181 a month. So he's like, if I live past 7 years, I would have paid $15,000 in premium type thing. What advice do you guys have, or talk offs, or like how do you word it? Because now I feel like I just had back-to-back appointments who kind of turned it down because of that.
181, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and he is 78?
Yeah.
Okay, so if he, so the APV is 2172, right? He's going to pay, let's call it $2,200 a year. He's 78, and he's wondering why he shouldn't just save $181 a month for the next 7 years, just, so that when he dies, he has that money. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so what was the benefit amount?
15,000.
Okay, so why doesn't he just have 15,000 right now?
That is a good question.
I would just ask him that, and then he'll say, "Well, it's hard to save. I don't, it's hard." Yeah, it is. But for $181 today, this premium, you have $15,000 right now. And if you want to save, you can do that. And if ever this policy doesn't become valuable for you, or you feel like you don't need it anymore, absolutely, let's get rid of it, because I don't want you to waste $181 a month. But if you keep this for $15,000 divided by $2,200 a month, you keep this for 7 years, I will personally cancel it for you. But the problem is, if you cancel it in 7 years, you still don't have $15,000. Right?
Yeah.
So why don't you have $15,000 right now? That's my question. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, great."
That's good. Sorry, I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah. No,
Thank
no
you. Sorry, Mark. I just texted Mark too. I was like, I'm having a hard time with these final expense policies.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Dustin, because I never looked at it that way either. The way you just explained it, I never looked at it like that. So that's a very good, that's a good thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dustin. And Angie, thanks for asking the question. And to everybody, thank you for your patience and flexibility. For some reason, I updated, not this week, for some reason, it still showed at 10 o'clock, so I didn't get the alert. But I now have it on mine for every week at 9. So great to see everybody on here. Thank you. Thank you. And we got the text out and everything. So Jessica, thank you so much. Yeah, Angie and everybody, when it comes to final expense, I think, I couldn't have put it better myself. This is insurance after all, right? So the idea is, this is in case something happens tomorrow, right? Or 30 years from now. But the great news is, as Angie and I discussed yesterday, permanent insurance is permanent. So it's not if it will pay out, it's when will
When.
it pay out.
Mm-hmm.
And the only risk you're taking is, yeah, at some point, your premiums might have outweighed the, you know, the benefit itself. But that only comes into play as a deciding factor at that point. And had you died at any point before then, if you're not saving that amount every single month without fail, your family could very likely be displaced or stressed and have all kinds of worry and everything else. And that's why it's called insurance, right? Permanent insurance is very unique in that it is permanent and it builds cash value over time, right? So you're never, ever going to be, they can't, it's not fair for them to say, well, if I add up these premiums, this is what I've spent, but my death benefit's over this. Yeah, but this entire time since day one, you're going to get paid out that full 25,000, even if you only gave him $200 a month, right? They're not sitting over there being like, well, I don't want to grant him a policy because if he dies on day one, we're out $24,800, right? No, that's the deal. That's the trade-off. We're going to protect you from day one, and you're going to pay this premium every month to keep it in force. But
And Mark, you remember too that when we're talking final expense, graded benefit is a slightly different conversation, right? So we have those 2-year waiting periods or sometimes 3-year waiting periods. So make sure we don't present it that way. We're talking about, you know, you're in this situation right now, but in 2 years, how hard will it be for you to have saved $15,000? And the reason that we're having this discussion today is because you feel that financial burden and you don't have a way to save $15,000. You've got these other things to deal with. So even if there's a, you know, a loss in the family, the insured passes away, we'll refund the premiums and you'll get, sometimes there's a percentage, you know, it depends on the policy. But just make sure you're framing that conversation a little bit differently for the graded, but the concept's the same way. And just like you're saying, Mark, get it back to the emotion.
absolutely. And the graded guys, as Dustin just pointed out, you're refunded all of those premiums if you die within those 2 years. So it's
it
not
is a savings account.
Right. Well, actually, it's better than a savings account because most of them will add 10 to 12% interest on that payment. Right. So I hope you guys, you know, make sure your people that are getting graded policies understand that though it's a 2-year grading period, God forbid, if anything were to happen to you in the next 2 years, you'll get all the money back plus the interest rate of 10 to 12%. On top of that, if you die from an accident tomorrow, it will pay out in full. So you really can't lose. There are some situations in which maybe they're paying like, you know, $285 a month and they have to wait 2 years because it's graded and it's a $6,000 benefit. Okay, that's something to talk out. Well, do you want to start the clock now, and do you want that protection in place? Because this isn't going to get any cheaper, right? And it seems that you want the coverage. So my job is to make sure that we start the clock now. God forbid you die in a year, your family's going to get all these premiums back as if you saved it in that account. And day one of year 3, you know, this protects you like any other policy would, and it's permanent. It's going to build cash value over time. And I think as long as they don't have that money in savings already, it's a no-brainer move for them. So great question.
Sorry, I have one follow-up question, not to take up too much of
Yeah,
our
go
time. For it. So I know.
No, I didn't have a huge agenda anyway. This is great.
Okay. I know Living Promise with Mutual of Omaha does have the 2-year graded period. What carrier starts from day one when it comes to like those final?
A great question, Angie. So most carriers, including Living Promise, have both an immediate product and a graded product, just depending on the health qualifications. So Living Promise is actually an immediate product. But here's a great tip, guys. If you might have to hunt around, but it's worth doing it. I'll usually literally just Google Mutual of Omaha Living Promise application PDF, right? American Amicable Dignity Solutions application PDF. and you'll almost always find the paper app if you can't find it on the Quility site first. But the great thing about, and you can even just go on the, do a fake app, run an e-app on Mickey Mouse, you know, or Minnie, let's not be sexist, right? Either one. But the fact is, you'll see there are knockout questions on those apps, right? And it literally says, if you answer yes to any of these, you won't qualify for this. And then in section 2, it says, if you answer yes to any of these, you'll qualify for the graded product. But if you're answering no, you qualify for immediate. And almost every final expense application, what I love about final expense is it's very simple 99% of the time to assess whether or not they're going to get approved and for what, because it's just yes or no. And if they answer yes, well, just read what does it say if they answer yes? It says they're going to get approved for this. So let me show you guys one real quick. In fact.
Okay, while you're getting that pulled up, Mark. So like if I'm on Mutual of Omaha, like quoting app or like to do illustration, when it says benefit plan type and it says level and graded, so level is immediate and graded is the graded 2-year period. Am I understanding that right?
Correct. That is correct. Very good. So for instance, here, I just pulled up the Florida one because that's what I found online. Exactly. Here's level and graded, right? So you're going to see in the questions, guys, and we'll do a UHL one too, so you can see this. It's pretty uniform. So after all the information, you're going to see this. If they answer yes to any of these, they are not eligible for any coverage. So number 1 and number 2, 3, any of these are yeses. They can't get insurance, period. Part 2, if they say yes to any of these, well, they'll get the graded product. So we can assess that if they answer no to all of these, bingo, you're an immediate product. That's how easy it is to assess on a final expense. As long as they're being honest with you about their conditions, you know just by reading the app if they're qualified. So let's see. I just find these on random sites, but they're usually right there, right? I just typed in that search term, it was on the top. Same with UHL. You're going to see the questions. If any part of Part A is yes, they're not eligible for the modified death benefit whole life. So meaning for anything, right? Usually those Part A questions are pretty serious conditions, and you're going to have to move to a guaranteed policy. If they're using oxygen, they have AIDS, actively have cancer, things like that, those are pretty much knockouts across the board. You're going to go to a guarantee. But you can see, again, we've got a guide. If they answer yes to any of the Part Bs, okay, great. They will get approved most likely for the deluxe product. But if they answer no to all these, you move to this category. And if they answer yes to any of these, it's a knockout. They're going to get qualified for deluxe, right? Or I said that wrong. I'm sorry. This says if you answer yes, they're not eligible for deluxe. So in this one, no dice, go to guarantee. This one, okay, they won't get deluxe. You're probably going to get a graded product. I'd go over to AIG. It's cheaper, but that's the answer. And if they answer yes to one of these, that's okay. You're qualified for DLX. If they answer no to all of these, you can get Premier, which is their top, cheapest, healthiest product, right? So we just saw on 2 applications that you could do that. And here's another, I'm going to show you one more, guys, just so you can see the, now I can't see what I typed, PDF, probably typed it in 3 times. Real Premier worksheet. Wait, here's the worksheet. So for Eagle
while
Premier,
you're pulling that up, Mark, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Look, I beat you. I'm fast. All right, but real quick, I'll finish it. So again, this doesn't necessarily say if you answer yes to any of these, it's whatever. But these are called knockout questions, right? So if you're answering yes to these, you are most likely not going to get approved for Eagle Premier. And you can see these are pretty serious conditions, from cancer to, heart failure, AIDS.
So I have a
stroke.
question.
Yes, of course.
So I have a gentleman that's 67 that had colon cancer 5 years ago. And I went on some of the applications there to see if he would qualify. So in AIG's, it said if he had cancer at any time, I believe, that he wouldn't be
Well, that
qualified.
AIG, no, now AIG is a guaranteed product. So he could actively have cancer and get approved for AIG. That's why they're graded for 2 years. So AIG guys, no matter what's going on, they could literally be digging their own grave and have a leg in it. They will get approved for AIG. So is it the right thing to do if someone's in hospice to sell them a graded policy? No, probably not, but they would get approved, right? So AIG and Gerber guys are guaranteed, and that you can take that literally. They're guaranteed they will get approved. No question. They could weigh 800 pounds and have every disease on the planet, and they will get that policy with the 2-year grading period.
Yeah, and I'll jump in right there, Mark, that whenever you're writing a guaranteed issue policy, remember that the commission payout is way less than what we like our usual contract values. So I made a screen. Oh, I don't know if I can. Let me see.
I had a guy yesterday that told me, he says, I've spoke to several people. He says, I got cancer. Nobody can approve me.
Because guess what? Everyone he's talking to is not a broker. They're probably a captive agent or a novice, and they don't understand that, or they don't have access to guaranteed policies. You can absolutely help them. I remember one of the most touching things I've done in my career here at Symmetry. I sat with an 85-year-old woman. That's the last year. If you guys are brand new, you can't get life insurance past 85, no matter how bad you want it. So she was 85. She was in love with this man sitting at the table. They were engaged and to be married in a year. And she just wanted enough for him to have 6 months worth of mortgage payments in case she died, so that after they're married, he would have time to, take over her affairs. It was like a $6,000 policy, face value, for $250 a month. And she cried at the table, gave me the biggest, she had breast cancer, actively had breast cancer. Cried at the table, gave me the biggest hug, just the most heartfelt thank you, because she had seen 2 or 3 other people and nobody could help her. It took me a bit to get in that home because of that. She just didn't believe I could help her, right? And that just made her day. I mean, $6,000 face, but for her, that's 6 months of coverage. So it's pretty amazing, Shelly. You can definitely help that person.
Yeah, I got to go back and find his lead now.
Well, while Dustin's showing this though, guys, again, use these knockout questions, because if he had it 5 years ago, Shelly, look at this question in the past 4 years. So guys, what that means, if you're brand new, is if he's saying he was cured of cancer 5 years ago, or cancer free rather 5 years ago, and this says in the past 4 years, you get to answer no, right? Just do the math. That they just said in the last 4 years. You don't have to say, well, nobody had it 5 years. No, they're just asking, did he have it within the last 4 years? No, no, no. He will get approved for Living Promise. No grading, right? He doesn't have to wait for the benefit to kick in. And it's going to be a lot cheaper than an AIG. And as Dustin pointed out, guaranteed policies are amazing when you have a situation like I had, right? But no, if there's a better option for them, always do the right thing. I don't even like bringing up what you make or what you don't make, because it's about helping the family the right way. But note that guaranteed policies pay 30 to 40% commission if you're at your starting level of 70%. I'm at 105 right now, verging on 110. And I think I still only make maybe 40 to 50% on a guaranteed policy, right? So that's just how guaranteed policies work. But great questions, Angie and Shelly. And I hope that helped you guys with final expense. They're just so easy to qualify if you look at the application ahead of time. These are called knockout questions in the industry, and they're very easy to assess who will and who won't accept that client. And just know, if you have someone who has had cancer, heart attack, epilepsy, some more serious things, UHL Deluxe is the most generous outside of a guarantee. They only have a 2-year look back for cancer and heart attack, stroke. 1-year look back on epilepsy. Well, no look back on epilepsy, but a 12-month look back on seizures for epileptics. And that's just a little friendly tip, right? We don't want to learn. You'll never learn everything. We get new stuff all the time, but.
Yeah, and hey, Mark, since we're on this subject, the
Yeah,
last thing I want to say about it. I want to show you guys this. This is a chart I made that you could use. You could do a similar thing, but I made a list of each of the products that I write most frequently for each of the carriers. And then I made up some notes for each one, just kind of like make a quick reference for me, and use the commission guide to track which policies pay out and how well. So like, we're looking down here at Mutual of Omaha. The graded policy, you lose about 6.5 points or 5.5 points. And the graded, Living Promise graded, has really comparable rates to UHL Express issue. So that's just things I had noticed, over time. So if you're finding products that you like to write frequently, or you're learning that Foresters is good for recreational marijuana, for example. If I have somebody who tells me, well, I smoke a little bit, then I'm thinking Foresters straight away, and some things like that too. I would say the Mutual of Omaha Living Promise is fine with diabetes mostly. And there's an interesting concept between, I'll share this with anybody if you want it later.
I'll take it.
Okay. American Amicable uses the phrase return of premium, but they do not mean return of premium in the same way Mutual of Omaha does. So American Amicable return of premium is less than graded. It's like you don't get the graded benefit, you don't get the 10 or 12% interest on the premiums, you just get your premiums back. But Mutual of Omaha, what they mean is when you outlive the policy, you get your premiums back. So one is a benefit, one is not a benefit. So just some things like that I had noticed and I wrote down. So when I'm training my new agents, I tell them to avoid certain things, like the accidental policy from Foresters does not pay as well as, talking about like these guaranteed issue policies, AIG and Gerber, help the family if you can, but don't count on that 2,100 APV having $1,000 payout. It won't. It'll pay you like $300. So, it's a real bummer to like run out of your office and high five your family and say, I just paid the mortgage. And then you get the check.
Right. I love that. And guys, on top of that, if you will, now I've been, and no, there's no judgment assigned here. We're moving so fast as a company and we have so many amazing tech and resources, but I admit I've been an advocate of making sure the commission grid is shared with all agents. For whatever reason, at this point, it is not. It's shared with AOs only. But you guys just asked me, I'll shoot you my logins anytime. I'm going to show you something. Last thing, and then we'll move on. But
you can call contracting too. They'll tell you.
Will they send you a link, or will they just tell you?
They won't send you the link. You have to do your own legwork, but you can call each carrier and ask for the commission on each policy.
Right. So definitely, guys, do your homework if you want that in-house. What I'll definitely allow, if you just agree to use my passwords for this and only this, I'll gladly give you my logins to HQ, and you're going to see right here on mine, your stops here, right? But when you become agency owner, you look at the master commission schedule here, and they've got it all laid out by carrier. So I can go to AMAM. I'll show you guys how to read this in case you guys ever hit me up. So again, I don't use half of these, right? I use two things. I use Home Certainty or Dignity Solutions, and that's it. But you can see if you're a brand new agent coming in here at 70%, there's some things to look at, because the Home Certainty, if you only do a 10-year, they're paying out 55%, as opposed to if it's a 15 to 30 year, they're paying out 70%. Now, don't mind these codes. Those are internal for the carriers and Symmetry. All you're looking at is your commission rate, right? Maybe you're at a 90 now, right? This is the commission you'll be paid on for those products. Now,
Yes.
where
So do
why-
the
why-
math on that, Mark. The $1,000 annual premium policy at 55% and the 75% advance will pay $412. That's because you wrote the 10-year, and if you wrote a 15-year, which gives them the additional, you get the 70%, and that would pay $525.
right.
So you
And
lose
you will-
$100 for 5 years.
And yes, that's right. And what you will find, guys, is that the core carriers and core products that we promote, and I think that's part of the reason they do what they do and why, but we promote products and carriers for a reason. And that's why, same here. I only use Home Certainty or Dignity Solutions. We may have access to all these, but what you'll see here is that the core products will pay out exactly in ratio with your base contract. Industry-wide, every product has a different commission assigned for it, right? But we talk about core carriers like Americo, American Amicable, Foresters, things like that, and our core products like the Home Certainty, right? Because they're par for par, your commission rate and what the carrier is paying out for. So if you stick with the basics, we have access to 30 plus carriers and probably dozens and dozens of products and policies, but do yourself and the client a favor and just, unless you need to dig into something a little deeper or more refined, stick with the core carriers and the core products. They're going to pay out par for par, and they're going to have everything that the client needs at an affordable rate. So again, I'll happily share this so you can do the work, but don't allow this to be another distractor from the work at hand. The work at hand is setting appointments, helping families, and using your upline and whoever they deem appropriate to speak to before or during your appointments to assess what might be the best option, right? Because that's what we're here for. And that's what you're here for as a budding leader. So great stuff, guys. Thank you. Nice way to thank you guys for starting off the meeting without me in an effective, productive way. I do want to give a big shout out. So welcome. I want to give a huge shout out to Randy Johnson, who was announced as SNA on yesterday's national call. So proud of you, Randy. As we all know, SNA is no small feat, right? That's 6 apps in your first 6 weeks here at Symmetry. When does that clock start? It starts when you get your opt login. So again, I'm no judgment here. I just want to sing Randy's praises as I should, because he took to the system right away and jumped into the fire and said, okay, this is what they're saying is done to cultivate success, so I'm going to do it. And he did it. And he started with family and friends, guys, which is what we always recommend on orientation, right? Help those you love the most. And if you don't have the belief to do that yet, then you might want to reassess things a little bit and come from a good perspective, but B, help yourself with the policy first. When you have that protection, even knowing when I wrote an $8 a month policy for Billy and Jacob back when they were like 5 and 7 through Mutual of Omaha, just practicing my policies, I'm like, I'm broke, but I can handle $8 a month for Billy and Jacob. That was a $25,000 whole life policy. And I can't tell you what peace of mind that gives me when I meet with the 70-year-old who's paying $280 a month for that same policy, right? Billy and Jacob will only ever have to pay $8 a month for their $25,000 final expense policy, because this is a whole life, right? And there's all other kinds of advantages. So, and of course, before that, writing a policy on myself, knowing how disorganized I was, and how if I died tomorrow, I don't think Yuli even knows how to log into our bank account, to tell you the truth, let alone have enough to survive if I were to pass, right? So as irresponsible as that was of me, I didn't wake up until I joined the insurance industry 6 years ago. And now I have, an abundance of coverage, and I have peace of mind. I can't tell you how good that feels. And then in turn, how motivated you are to help others get that same peace of mind, because you don't understand it until you have it. So anyway, I detracted from praising Randy Johnson. Let's get back to the real matter. No, but Randy, I'm just so proud of you, man. I'm so thankful to be in business with you. I would love if you wouldn't mind just kind of sharing some wise words. What do you think led to your achieving that SNA status, and where do you see it taking you from here?
I love how you always throw me on this.
Oh, there we go.
I love how you always just
I know,
throw me on
right?
the
Well,
spot,
stop doing such a good job, Randy. I won't put you on the spot.
Well, honestly, just starting with friends and family, if you can. Any new agent that I've brought on so far, that's what I've recommended. Just even to pay for your first round of leads. But then it's just sticking through the system and plugging in. And as you know, Mark, it hasn't been easy. I don't know how many times we've talked about my no-shows and all that, but I finally got my SNA on a gentleman who already had coverage, and I just offered to see if I could save him some money. And he thought he was doing $100 a month, and I went through SBLI, got it for 74, I think it was. And then he looked at his actual policy, and it was actually $160 a month. So he ended up doing the SBLI and then adding a full coverage accidental on top of it, and it still saved him over almost $70 a month. So he was a single dad with a 18-year-old girl just getting ready to go to college, and so he was super pumped. So that was awesome. That was a great way to get my final two. But starting with family and friends is easy because you can practice, right? My first two that I wrote were on a coworker, and he wanted to go meet at a restaurant and go through it. And I was like, hey, you know what? I really want to practice my presentation, so can we do it online? And so he let me do it that way. And same thing with the sister that I wrote one on, actually Sammy, who that actually got her interested in coming aboard, and she's gonna study all weekend to take her test here, hopefully either Sunday or Monday to get going.
Wow.
But just plug into the system, bother your upline every chance you get. I'm sure Mark, sees my calls coming or my text messages like, again. No, I'm just joking. He's always quick to answer. So just use your, use the people who've been through it to bounce ideas off of and to learn from, and, or to just build you back up if you're feeling down. So in the future, the goal is to, I want to be an agency owner as quick as possible. The next goal is key leader, according to Mark. That's our goal, right? Key leader as quick as possible. And then 7 months is the goal for AO. That's the quickest it can be done, correct?
That's right.
So,
that's awesome, man. With Slingshot, even faster, I believe. So, and I know you're taking advantage of that. So awesome. Great job, Randy. Thanks for the wise words of advice. Anybody have any questions for Randy? If you're new, I know we got a small crowd today. It's probably my fault for being late, so I really do apologize for that. Oh, great job, man. I think the only other thing I really wanted to cover, guys, is we've got conference coming up, and first and foremost, conference is about you and your goals and your vision, and allowing it to help you cultivate that, that vision into reality. At the same time, it's the absolute best event to recruit toward, right? So it's, it's one thing to hire somebody and maybe there's a live event in 2 months you can invite them to. It's another thing to hire somebody just a little over a month away from, our biggest training and association event of the year, and let that be their first impression, right? It really is a key advantage when you're recruiting to be able to get people to conference as early as possible. We've got such a great pool of new agents and recruits, along with all of us OGs, right, who have been to conference. And I promise you, it's not only an impactful event for you and your career, but like I said, an excellent event to recruit toward. And recruiting, again, if you're just here for the producer's track and you just want to produce until the cows come home, that's fantastic. We've got a producer's track for that, and lots of bonuses, contests, and everything that goes with it. But Symmetry probably has the best business system built out for those that want to build an agency and work toward a leadership role and build a sustainable passive income that increases over time, right? Because growth begets growth. So I know, and you guys may even hear from them at conference, but I know spouses of, I mean, it's unfortunate. We lost a couple really good agents, household names, if you will, here at Symmetry in the last couple of years to COVID and Jimmy Spieldinger to colon cancer. And as tragic as that is, what's super inspiring is to see, you know, their spouses on Facebook or otherwise. And I'm certain we'll hear from somebody. My first was Steve Wilson. I didn't know him. I heard him. One of my first national calls. Everybody was all somber and crying, and I thought, oh, what am I getting into? Is this their national call? But it turns out that Steve Wilson, who was a beloved agency owner here at Symmetry, you know, he had built up a nice agency that were building agencies. He probably had a pretty great six-figure passive income, and he fell out of a tree stand and broke his neck and died, unfortunately. I had the pleasure of meeting his wife 2 years later at a national conference. I mean, she still comes to the conferences because she's so grateful for what this has done for her. On top of the fact that, you know, to earn overrides in this industry and that agency income, you must have a license. So what Casey, Brandon, and Brian did when he passed away, his wife isn't an insurance agent. She doesn't want to be an insurance agent, right? They held back all of his overrides until she could get licensed so she could legally receive them, so that she would enjoy every single penny of what he had earned for their family, and helped her throughout. I mean, they just go above and beyond. But even looking at the system on paper and taking it literally, that's what this means, guys. If you build an agency, and you continue to grow it, you are truly creating a legacy for generations. Because this is vested for life. That's agency income vested for life, right? That's revenue share vested for life. So take that to heart if you're here as an entrepreneur wanting to build a business. And again, if you're here to produce, keep your ears to the ground and see if that's something you want to explore. But if you do, we want to help. And I just want to remind everybody that, you know, we're still working out some kinks and tweaks, but I'll make sure to guarantee that you get your ROI out of it. But Betsy's got an amazing recruiting funnel. We've hired some really great people out of that. LinkedIn, you could start with free ads there. That's what Randy did. Actually, LinkedIn is how I met Randy. And some really great agents that we've got on the team was just through an ad that I put out on LinkedIn. And you can work your way up to paid ads. But I just want everybody to know who wants to get involved with that. Just let us know, and I'll tell you what the options are. There's plenty of ways to start this for free, and there's plenty of ways to ramp it up if you want to start investing in your business accordingly. Yeah, Kaylee did find us on Facebook. I think she responded to my Top Gun ad way back in the day. That's awesome. And by the way, I think Kaylee Porcher might just be our next SNA. Even though we had a heck of a time with some SPLI stuff with their first couple of clients, but it was Top Gun, wasn't it? I'm proud of that ad. I love that one. We got a lot of responses. So guys, recruit. If that is your goal, start now and use conference as the lead in, right? So your next step is to attend our national training, right? It's what you do in any successful company. If you were to acquire a business or start a franchise, they require you to go to their trainings, right? And that's Symmetry is a pretty big deal. When you guys got guys like Edward Pritchett that's been here maybe 7-8 years and he's earning $30,000 to $40,000 a day in his sleep. That's it, you know, this isn't the Spice Girls. They didn't manufacture that. Like he worked his way to that, right? He grew his way to that. And that's why if you guys were on the huddle this morning, James Martinez, I don't think he'll realize how funny James and Joe are. They're very, very dry humor, but oh my God, they're hilarious. But James is otherwise a man of few words, but he really hit it home today with a few words on mindset and how important it is to everything we do here. So the only other thing I can say is I'd love to see more people on the huddles, not for me, not for the hosts, for you, because I know there is a direct correlation between those that plug in and those that foster success very quickly. So if you're frustrated, if you feel lost, if you feel confused, the tendency is to try to figure things out on your own. The tendency is to withdraw and regroup and study and kind of use those things as validations, if you will, for lack of anything else, rationalization as to, well, I'm working, I'm doing something, right? But it won't get you to your goals. I promise you plugging in will, because just this morning, for instance, I won't mention names because we've all had this problem, but I've been talking to a couple agents about, missed appointments, right? Well, they're scheduled, I hard confirm them, and then they don't show up. Well, that happens to all of us. But James made it very clear to point out that what Jordan does is a step above and beyond, even the script. And I know people say, well, yeah, I followed the script, but did you, right? Are you asking them to get out a pen and paper or something to write with and write your name down and write the time down, right? When another thing James said, when you write it, it becomes real. Actually, Joe said that. But that's true for a client as well, right? When they write down, Kaylee Porcher is my agent, and we're meeting Wednesday at 3:30. That's different than you saying we're meeting at 3:30. What time did I say again? 3:30. Okay, but you don't know if they wrote that down in their calendar. You don't know if they're going to, right? So these huddles, I'm telling you, they're 30 minutes long, but you might hear something in 15, 20 seconds, and the rest is just noise. But that 15 seconds could change your entire trajectory here. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Dustin, very, very much. I know he looks like he's working in a call center or something today. But I know he's at Sweetwater, this amazing music supply company in Fort Wayne. Actually provides equipment for most of, you name the band, they probably get their equipment from right there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It's crazy. So guys, the rest of this is for you. Any questions? Anything I can help you with? I'll state the obvious. I think everyone here is registered for conference. Andy, you might not be, because I know you're hitting the ground running. You just came back from some well-deserved time with your family. So I'm not sure if you've had a chance to, or Kaya, if you had a chance to. I think everybody else here is registered and ready to go. So if you guys need any help with that, please let me know. I want to make sure that you get registered. The main hotel across the street is sold out, but there are 4 other Hyatts. I don't know why they're all Hyatts, but there's like 5 Hyatts there, and they're all within a block and a half from the conference center. So get those things reserved now, because they will fill up, and you're gonna save yourself some time and money by acting now. So anybody else you want to know if you need some help with anything there or guidance. But let's make sure we get registered. And if you're a leader, make sure that your team is registered. And now I'm going to zip it and open it up to you guys. Any questions? No questions? All right, guys, have your goals for the day, right? Break your goals down by day. Schedule everything. I'm going to pick on you again, Randy, because you showed it to me yesterday, but on our summit journey, right? Show your upline your calendar. I know a couple of you have done that. Shelly's done that. Randy's done that. Angie's done that. I just want to make sure you have a calendar and that you are scheduling everything. Take advantage of me. Take advantage of your leadership's offer to review anything and everything with you, and we will. But most of all, just be diligent and listen to those that are doing what you want to achieve, right? I saw today, by the way, you want to check band. Elijah Carujo is hosting a dial session tonight. He posted it in advance. I think it's 5 Eastern. Just check band. Don't count on me for that. But Elijah, it is 5. I thought so. Check that out, guys. I don't care if you're new or not. If you're in the field, attend that session. Learn something new. Every one of us leaders has a different style in which we approach the leads and the lead script. And you may find that there are some little tips and tricks that maybe you weren't using that could change your whole game. So,
hey, one note on that: if you do join, make sure your camera's on.
Yes,
Elijah
thank
likes
you
your
for
camera
that.
to be on.
Especially if it's Elijah, he'll call you out.
Yeah.
So great point. And guys, really, that's just respect, right? I mean, these are leaders putting themselves out there in a very vulnerable fashion for no, I mean, they can schedule their appointments on their own just as well, right? They do this so that we can share, the skills and the wisdom and hopefully save you guys a few steps, a few dozen mistakes along the way by being proactive and just being part of it. And turning your camera on, as simple as it sounds, why do I need my camera on? I'm just here to learn. Well, that's okay. But vulnerability, guys, is a key attribute to successful people in general. A sustainable success and happiness, vulnerability is a mandatory ingredient. And if it's just as simple as turning on your camera and being a little nervous, or maybe dialing for the first time in front of everybody, awesome. I hope if you have stage fright or something like that, even more important that you do that, because that's going to further improve your performance. You're going to encounter that growth that maybe you haven't to date, and taking those big steps of vulnerability will lead you into the next stages of growth. I promise you that. So just as they said this morning, read your 10 pages, plug in, be vulnerable, take a bold move. Make that our assignment today, guys. Whatever it is, if you maybe want to recruit but haven't taken that step, if you've heard conference, but you're not registered, if you've never been on a dial session or never been on one with your camera on and actually dialed in front of somebody, do it. Do it today. Do something bold today for your business. Something you haven't done yet that your subconscious has told you need to.
And I don't think it's right that some people keep their camera off, and this is just my opinion, but when I speak to somebody, I like to look at them in the face. And so whether it be in person or on camera, and I don't want to just hear this voice. I want to put a face with a voice. And I just think, I don't care what you look like, it doesn't matter to me if you just got out of the shower or what have you. But like Mark said, I think it's respect. I think everybody ought to do it, just because, if you want to be in with the crowd, you need to go with the flow, and you need to, act like you care just as much as we do, because we're the ones turning on our cameras, and we're the ones that are smiling at you. Right. We can't see you. We don't know if you're crying or what's going on, but I just think it's a little bit disrespectful, That's my opinion. Sorry.
No, I agree. And never be sorry for your opinion, Shelley. That's what makes you you. And I agree wholeheartedly. The only caveat I want to add to that is I understand, guys, even this morning, I spilled my first try at a smoothie. Not my first smoothie, but my first attempt this morning. I overfilled it. It made a mess. So I wasn't able to have my camera on the first part of today's call, right? We have a lot of great opportunities to associate here. As we've always said, if you attended them all, you'd never get any work done. So I respect those that make time for the meeting. Like Charlene Pham is a great example. She's currently working full-time and getting her license so she can get out of that full-time position. So she'll be at her office, I think she works for the county or the city. So she's always being watched and listened to and things like that. But she still manages to be on the calls. She doesn't have her camera on because she'd probably get fired, right? But she makes the meetings. So first and foremost, I want to thank anyone and everyone, and your future self thanks you for just tuning in, right? But unless it's something like that, be a part of it. Like Shelley said, be proactive and be vulnerable, and watch how things start to change. Watch how you start to grow. Watch the leadership notice you as a future leader, and watch that energy that comes with that acknowledgement. Watch that energy fuel your growth. It's all part of it. So thanks for saying that, Shelley. And thank you guys all for coming on. I've made very, very sure that from here on out, my schedule is accurate on my Google Calendar, and we'll be on here next week sharp. Tomorrow, guys, if you're recruiting, don't forget tomorrow's orientation, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. Betsy's heading to a boot camp tomorrow to learn some new tips and tricks that I'm sure we'll all benefit from, as we have for any of her visits to boot camps. But I'll be leading the orientation tomorrow. We'll do some meet and greets, have people kind of introduce themselves, cover the basics, and position them for Monday's national call. Is usually how I like to do the agenda for the Friday orientation. So if you've got newbies that haven't been to an orientation yet, Shelly, I'm actually working on some of your recruits today, so don't worry about that. I'll keep you posted, and everybody else, make sure that your recruits that haven't been on a call yet are on that call. And Randy, I believe, Jessica, Randy, I got you both on. We're cool working through, just so everybody knows, the new Quility onboarding portal has a few kinks. So we're working diligently to see that through. Jessica, and Kim, are we cool with everything we discussed yesterday? Are we figuring that stuff out? They probably just turned me on and tuned out. All right, that's okay. I will confirm with them, but I believe we're on track with all of that. So rest assured, we'll get your new recruits in the system and onboarded and completing their stuff. So thank you guys. I'll see you at orientation tomorrow. Don't forget, big events coming up. We've got a Southwest meeting. All of it's on the events calendar and band. Angie and I and us Arizonans, Joe, Jordan, Jared, I think Val might be coming in. We got a big one in Phoenix here on the 13th. There's another live event coming up in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I believe some SoCal events and even one out east. So check that calendar. Guys, if you're on Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, I'm not saying you need to go on there and argue politics or religion or all the stuff you're not supposed to talk about that everybody talks about on Facebook. But there is a beautiful page on there called Symmetry Facebook for Agents. If there's no other reason to get on Facebook but that, get on Facebook for that. Join that page, because I'm going to show you before I shut it off, because I know some people might not be on it. And leaders, I'm showing this to you again as well, because it's easy to forget this even exists. But it's such a great resource. I asked a question on there myself yesterday and got it answered by 5 different people. So here we go. Maybe preaching to the choir here, but in case you didn't realize this is here. Symmetry Financial Group for Agents. You can just go on here and request that you join, or I can invite you. I normally make it a practice. Screen's in the way, I can't close PayPal. There we go. I usually make it a practice to invite people as they onboard. Leaders, you should too. Please just go on here. You're a member, so if you're on here, just go to invite and get your agents on there and get them in the mix. This is super, super cool. Keith Fonseca literally just posted a link to the boot camp. I think he's going to go live with an advanced market boot camp. That's pretty awesome. I think that's where Betsy is today. So Keith's really, there he is. He does a lot of really cool stuff where he's live. And there's Mike Resma, who heads up a lot of the advanced market stuff. So he goes live a lot of times. There's Theo Pritchett talking about there's a Dallas event coming up, right? So here's stuff that other agencies and agents are asking. Kaylee and I had a heck of a time dealing with SBLI yesterday. So I just posted a question on here about SBLI underwriting, and look at all this help I got. I mean, within minutes, I got answers and replies. So anyway, guys, I'm just showing this to you. Please do not replace this with contacting your upline for help. But know that it's here. If God forbid, you can't get a hold of us or just need a quick answer. Some people will put stuff on here and it's like, do you not have an upline, right? And I'm not picking on this guy, but I have a 42-year-old female, non-smoker, no real health issues, but she's 400 pounds, works full time. Any ideas besides accidental? Now, this is a question that this person should ask their upline first and foremost, every single time. There's no excuse, right? Or no other options. But you can also go on here and ask and just see what kind of answers you get. Again, never let this stuff be a means of you not working or just over learning, right? Becoming a professional student. But some people had some pretty great answers. Try Americo's accident. some other carriers that maybe I've never used that they're using. So anyway, this is just something that you guys know how to scroll through this. Somebody's looking for a roommate, right? If you're a female, you want to split the cost of a room at the Hyatt. This girl is looking for a roommate, right? So all this is just and they approve the post. So there's no BS on here, right? Your post needs to be reviewed before it's posted. Someone's brand new. How do I get my DFL license? Well, there's the answer. So anyway, I think I've exhausted the point. But you can see how valuable that is. So if you're a leader, make that. In fact, and I don't know if you're listening, Jessica or Kim, but if you are, and I'll post this on our WhatsApp, if not, we should probably put a link to the Facebook agents group page as well on the orientation website. Oh, good, Kaylee. Good for you. I see that. Oh, production training. Get to it. Angie, you should have just left. I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Guys, production training, have at it. Get to it. Gosh, next time, just shut me up and leave. Thank you for that, Angie. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Production training, guys. Link is on the orientation site.